Now starting another original tale from Korafika Tales, an exclusive work from our publishing house, narrated by Joanne. Enjoy the story. He froze. The ring box burned in his pocket. His fiancée waited at home. But across the counter stood the woman who destroyed him 5 years ago, holding a child with his eyes. She left without a word. He built an empire on her silence. Now she's back, successful, beautiful, and hiding the one truth that could shatter everything. A son he never knew existed. A love he never forgot. A wedding in 2 weeks. What happens when the ghost of your past holds the future you never imagined? This is not a love story. This is war between the heart and the throne. And he's about to lose both. The city never slept, but Jae-won had long stopped noticing. Power didn't rest. Empire didn't pause. At 32, he ruled the shadows of New York's underground with surgical precision. His name was whispered in boardrooms and back alleys alike. Jae-won Kang, the man who turned fear into currency. Tonight, he had one task. Buy a ring. Not just any ring. The kind that sealed futures. The kind that announced to the world, I have chosen. His fiancée, Minji, was perfect on paper. Elegant. Connected. From a family whose bloodline mirrored his own in power and legacy. Their engagement had been arranged with the same efficiency as a corporate merger. And he had agreed. Because 5 years ago, he learned that love was a luxury men like him couldn't afford. The jewelry store gleamed like a cathedral of cold light. Cartier, Fifth Avenue, the kind of place where silence cost more than words. Jae-won entered alone. His bodyguards remained outside, shadows in tailored suits. Inside, the air smelled of leather and wealth. A sales associate approached, but he waved her off with a glance. He knew what he wanted. 3-carat diamond, platinum band, classic, impersonal. He moved toward the engagement ring section, his steps measured, his mind already cataloging the evening's remaining tasks. Dinner with Minji's father, a conference call with Tokyo, the shipment arriving at dawn. Then he saw her, and the world stopped. She stood behind the counter in the private consultation area, her back to him, dark hair pulled into a sleek ponytail. She wore a simple black dress that hugged her frame with devastating elegance. Her hands moved with practiced grace over a velvet tray, adjusting rings under soft light. But it wasn't her posture that froze him. It wasn't even her profile when she turned slightly to reach for something. It was the child, a little boy, no more than 4 years old, sat on a cushioned chair beside her workstation. He wore a tiny blazer, his legs swinging, his small hands holding a sketchbook. His hair was dark, his skin a warm brown, his face. Jae-won's breath caught. The boy looked up, and Jae-won saw himself, the same sharp eyes, the same serious brow, the same mouth that rarely smiled. His heart slammed against his ribs. No. The woman turned fully then, sensing a presence. Her hands stilled. The ring she'd been holding slipped from her fingers, landing soundlessly on velvet. Their eyes met. Amara, 5 years. 5 years since she walked out of his life without a word. No note, no explanation, no goodbye. Just gone. He had searched. God, he had searched. Used every resource, every contact, every favor owed. For 6 months he tore through the city looking for her. Then the country. Then he stopped. Because men like him didn't beg, and ghosts didn't return. But here she was. Alive. Radiant. Successful. And she had his son. Amara's face went pale. Her lips parted, but no sound came. The color drained from her cheeks as if she'd seen a dead man walking. Maybe she had. Because the man who loved her died the day she left. Jae-won, she whispered. His name on her lips felt like a wound reopening. He said nothing. His gaze shifted to the boy who had stopped drawing and now watched the adults with quiet curiosity. Mommy? The child asked softly. Who is that? Mommy. The word detonated in Jae-won's chest. Amara's hand flew to the boy's shoulder. Protective, instinctive. Go to the back room, sweetheart. Ms. Lauren will get you some cookies. But, now, baby, please. The boy obeyed, sliding off the chair with his sketchbook clutched to his chest. He glanced once more at Jae-won, those impossible, identical eyes, before disappearing through a door behind the counter. Silence stretched between them like a chasm. Jae-won stepped closer. His voice, when it came, was dangerously calm. How old is he? Amara's throat worked. Jae-won, How old? 4. Her voice cracked. He just turned 4. The math was simple. Brutal. She had left 5 years ago. The boy was 4. She had been pregnant when she ran. His hands curled into fists at his sides. Every instinct screamed to destroy something, to demand answers, to drag the truth from her with the same ruthlessness he used in his empire. But he stood frozen, because beneath the rage, beneath the betrayal, there was something worse. Hope. Does he know? Jaewon's voice was a blade. Does he know who I am? Amara shook her head, tears brimming. No. Why? The question hung in the air, suffocating. Because you were dangerous, she whispered. Because I was terrified. Because I thought he'd be safer without you. The words landed like bullets. Jaewon's jaw tightened. And now? Now. Amara looked toward the door where their son had vanished. Now I don't know. He took another step, close enough now to see the faint shadows under her eyes, the small scar on her temple she'd gotten from a childhood fall, the way her hands trembled. You don't get to run again, he said quietly. Not this time. I wasn't. Yes, you were. His voice dropped to something lethal. You saw me walk in, and you were already planning your escape. I can see it in your eyes, Amara. The same look you had the night before you disappeared. She flinched. But here's the difference, Jaewon continued, his tone like ice. 5 years ago, you were just a woman I loved. Now, you're the mother of my son, and that changes everything. Jaewon, please. I came here to buy a ring for my fiancé. He pulled the velvet box from his pocket, holding it between them like evidence. I was going to propose next week. Move on. Build the life I was supposed to have. Amara's eyes dropped to the box. Something flickered across her face. Pain, regret, something unnameable. And then I saw him, Jaewon said, and nothing else matters. You don't understand? Then make me understand. He leaned closer, his voice a deadly whisper. Tell me why you ran. Tell me why you kept my son from me. Tell me why I shouldn't walk through that door right now and take him. Because you'd terrify him. Amara's voice broke. Because he's 4, Jaewon. Because he doesn't know what you are, what you do. He thinks his father is... She stopped, biting back the words. Dead? Jaewon finished coldly. She looked away. He laughed, but it was hollow. Of course. Better a dead hero than a living monster. That's not what I... What's his name? Amara hesitated. Then barely audible. Kai. Victory, triumph. The irony wasn't lost on him. Jaewon stepped back, his mind already working, calculating, planning. I'm not leaving, he said flatly. Not until we talk. Really talk. I'm working. Then I'll wait. He glanced around the pristine showroom. I'm a paying customer after all. And I still need that ring. Amara's eyes widened. You're still going to... I don't know. He cut her off. But that's the least of your problems right now. He moved to one of the leather chairs near the window, settling in with the ease of a man who owned every room he entered. Amara stood frozen behind the counter, her world collapsing in real time. And somewhere in the back room, a little boy with his father's eyes drew pictures of dragons, unaware that his entire life was about to change. The store closed at 8. Jaewon didn't move. Amara watched him from behind the counter, her hands mechanically straightening displays, her mind screaming. Every time she glanced his way, he was watching her, not with anger, not with warmth, with the cold assessment of a predator studying prey. The other employees filtered out, their goodbyes polite, curious glances darting between Amara and the impossibly handsome man who'd been sitting in the same chair for 2 hours. Miss Osi, do you need me to stay? Lauren, the senior associate, asked quietly. Amara forced a smile. No, I'm fine. Just finishing up with a private client. Lauren nodded, but her eyes said she didn't believe it. When the last employee left, the click of the lock echoed like a gunshot. Silence. Amara's hands stilled on the counter. She closed her eyes, gathering strength from somewhere deep, somewhere she'd hidden for 5 years. He's asleep in my office, she said without turning. I called my neighbor to pick him up. Good. She turned then, meeting his gaze across the showroom. Jaewon rose from the chair with liquid grace. He'd removed his jacket hours ago. His white shirt sleeves were rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms she used to trace with her fingertips. His tie was loosened. He looked like power dressed in silk. Talk, he said simply. Amara moved to the front door, double-checking the lock, then gestured to the consultation room in the back, the one with privacy glass and soundproofing for high-profile clients. Of course it was soundproof. Of course the universe would arrange this torture with perfect irony. They sat across from each other at the small marble table. The same table where, hours ago, a Saudi princess had chosen a necklace worth more than most people's homes. Now it felt like an interrogation room, Start from the beginning, Jaewon said. His voice was controlled, but she could see the tension in his jaw, the white-knuckle grip on the armrest. Amara inhaled slowly. I found out I was pregnant 3 weeks after we started, after things got serious between us. Serious, he repeated flatly. Is that what you call it? She ignored the jab. I was terrified. You were already deep in the business. The threats were getting worse. That man, she stopped, her voice catching. What man? The one who came to my apartment. Her hands twisted in her lap. 2 men, actually. They knew where I worked. They knew my schedule. They knew. Us. Jaewon's expression darkened. What did they say? That I was a liability. That you were distracted. That if I really cared about you, I'd disappear. And you believed them. They showed me photos, Jaewon. Her voice rose despite herself. Photos of my mother's house. My little sister at school. They said if I didn't leave, you'd lose focus. And people would die. They said I was making you weak. Who were they? I don't know. They didn't give names. But they knew everything. And they were right. Right? His voice turned to steel. You were changing, Amara said quietly. Because of me. You were taking fewer risks. Questioning things you never questioned before. I saw it. They saw it. So you ran. So I protected you. Her eyes blazed. I was pregnant with your child, Jaewon. And I was terrified that child would either get you killed or grow up watching his father become a monster. The words hung between them like smoke. Jaewon leaned back, his face unreadable. You could have told me. And what would you have done? She challenged. Quit? Walk away from everything? From your family's legacy? From the empire you'd bled to build? Yes. The single word shattered her. Amara stared at him. You're lying. I have never lied to you. You would have resented me, she whispered. Eventually. You would have looked at Kai and seen the life you gave up, the power you lost, and I couldn't— Her voice broke. I couldn't watch you hate us. Jaewon stood abruptly, the chair scraping against marble. He moved to the window overlooking Fifth Avenue, his back to her. You took my son, he said quietly. You took 4 years of his life from me, his first steps, his first words, every moment that mattered. I know. Do you? He turned, and for the first time, she saw past the ice. Saw the raw, bleeding wound beneath. Do you know what it's like to grieve someone who's still alive? To search every face in every crowd, hoping for a ghost? Tears spilled down Amara's cheeks. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't give me back what I lost. I know. But it's what you have, he finished coldly. So I'll take it, for now. He moved back to the table, but didn't sit. Instead, he braced his hands on the marble, leaning close. Here's what's going to happen, Jaewon said, his voice lethal in its calm. You're going to let me meet my son. Properly. Not as a stranger in a jewelry store. As his father. Jaewon, he's not ready. I don't care if you're ready. He cut her off. This isn't about you anymore. It's about Kai. And he deserves to know where he came from. He'll have questions. Questions I can't. Then we'll answer them together. He straightened. You think I haven't thought about this? Every angle, every consequence? I've been planning since the moment I saw him. Of course he had. Jaewon Kang didn't do anything without a plan. What about your fiancé? Amara asked quietly. Something flickered in his eyes. That's my problem. She'll ask, let me worry about Minji. His tone brooked no argument. Right now, all I care about is my son. Amara stood, wrapping her arms around herself. What if he doesn't want you in his life? Then I'll earn it. Jaewon's gaze softened, just barely. The same way I earned everything else. But I'm not walking away again, Amara. Not from him. She heard the unspoken words. Not from you. I built a life here, she said. A safe life. Kai is happy. He's thriving. He deserves a father. The truth of it broke her. Because he was right. And she had always known it. Saturday, Jaewon said. Central Park. The playground near Bethesda Fountain. Noon. It wasn't a request. Amara nodded, defeated. Okay. And Amara? He moved to the door, pausing with his hand on the handle. If you run again, I will find you. And next time, there won't be a conversation. There'll be lawyers, and custody hearings, and a very public fight you won't win. She flinched at the threat, but when she looked at him, really looked, she saw something else beneath the steel. Desperation. He was terrified she'd vanish again. I won't run, she promised quietly. Not this time. Jaewon studied her for a long moment, then nodded. He left without another word. The door closed behind him with a soft click. Amara sank into the chair, her body shaking with silent sobs. In her office, Kai slept peacefully, clutching a stuffed tiger she'd won him at a carnival, unaware that the man in the expensive suit was the answer to every bedtime question he'd ever asked. Where's my daddy? Why don't I have a father like the other kids? Did he love us? Amara pressed her hands to her face, because the answers were so much more complicated than a 4-year-old could understand, and so much more dangerous than she'd ever wanted to admit. Saturday came too fast and too slow. Amara dressed Kai in his favorite dinosaur shirt and tiny jeans, her hands trembling as she tied his sneakers. He chattered about the playground, about the swings, about the ducks he hoped to see. She smiled and nodded, but inside she was fracturing. They arrived at Bethesda Fountain at 11:55. Jaewon was already there. He stood beneath a tree near the playground, dressed in dark jeans and a simple black sweater. No suits, no guards, just a man waiting for his son. When Kai spotted the fountain, he gasped. "Mommy, look, it's so big. I see it, baby."
Before you continue, you have 2 choices right now. Keep listening to short previews, or unlock the full stories. You get 30 complete stories, over 30 hours of exclusive audio, no ads, no interruptions. Listen anytime, anywhere. Scan the QR code on the screen now, or click the pinned link in the comments. What was never said continues there.
But her eyes were on Jaewon. He'd seen them, his gaze locked on Kai, and even from a distance, Amara saw his expression shift. Wonder, pain, longing, all at once. Kai tugged her hand. "Can I go to the swings?" "In a minute." She knelt down, eye level with her son. "Sweetheart, remember how you asked about your daddy?" Kai nodded solemnly. "Well," she took a shaky breath. "He's here. He wants to meet you." Kai's eyes widened. "He's here? Now?" "Yes." She pointed to Jaewon. "That's him. His name is Jaewon." Kai turned, staring at the man beneath the tree. For a moment, neither moved. Then Kai whispered, "He looks like me." Amara's heart shattered. "Yeah, baby, he does. Is he nice?" She paused. "How did you explain someone like Jaewon to a child? He's complicated, but he's your dad, and he's wanted to meet you for a very long time." Kai considered this with the seriousness only a 4-year-old could muster. Then he straightened his dinosaur shirt and started walking, straight toward Jaewon. Amara followed, her pulse hammering. Jaewon lowered himself to one knee as Kai approached, bringing himself to the boy's height. "Hi," Kai said shyly. "Hi." Jaewon's voice was soft, careful. "You must be Kai." Kai nodded. "Are you really my dad?" "Yes." "Where were you?" The question hit like a punch. Jaewon glanced up at Amara, then back to his son. "I didn't know about you, but now that I do, I want to be here, if that's okay with you." Kai tilted his head. "Do you like dinosaurs?" The shift caught Jaewon off guard. I don't know much about them." "I can teach you." Kai's face lit up. "I know all the dinosaurs. T-Rex, Stegosaurus, Triceratops." "I'd like that," Jaewon said quietly. Kai studied him for a moment longer. Then, with the devastating simplicity of childhood, he said, "Okay, you can come play with me." He took Jaewon's hand. Amara watched, tears blurring her vision, as her son led his father to the playground. For the next hour, she sat on a bench and watched them. Jaewon pushed Kai on the swings, helped him climb the jungle gym, listened intently as Kai explained the intricate rules of some imaginary game involving dragons and knights, and slowly, impossibly, the most dangerous man in New York learned to play. At one point, Kai fell, scraping his knee. Jaewon was there instantly, scooping him up with a gentleness that shattered every expectation. "You're okay," he murmured. "I've got you." Kai sniffled, then nodded bravely. "Warriors don't cry. Warriors cry," Jaewon corrected softly. "They just don't let it stop them." Amara pressed a hand to her mouth. Who was this man? Eventually, Kai ran off to play with some other children, leaving Jaewon standing alone near the slides. Amara approached. They stood side by side, watching their son laugh and chase a soccer ball with kids he'd just met. "He's incredible," Jaewon said quietly. "He is. He has your smile." Amara glanced at him. "And your stubbornness." A ghost of a smile touched his lips, then faded. "I broke off the engagement," he said. She froze. "What?" "This morning. I told Minji I couldn't marry her." "Jaewon, you didn't have to." "Yes, I did." He finally looked at her. "Because the moment I saw Kai, I knew. There's no future that doesn't include him. And that means there's no future that doesn't include you." Her breath caught. Don't what? Don't do this. Don't make this about us. This is about Kai. It's always been about you, Jaewon said quietly. Even when I hated you. Even when I tried to forget. You were the line I couldn't cross, Amara. And now you're the line I can't walk away from. You have to. Her voice broke. We can co-parent. Be civil. But we can't. Why not? Because I'll ruin you. The words exploded from her. Because I did it once, and I'll do it again. Because you said it yourself. I make you weak. No. He turned to face her fully. You make me human. There's a difference. Jaewon. I spent 5 years building walls, he continued, becoming exactly what they wanted. Cold, ruthless, untouchable. And I was good at it. Better than my father. Better than anyone expected. Then why throw it away? Because I was miserable. His voice cracked. Because every deal I made, every empire I expanded, it was all just noise to drown out your absence. And it didn't work. Tears streamed down Amara's face. I can't be your redemption. I'm not asking you to be. He reached out, hesitated, then gently wiped a tear from her cheek. I'm asking you to let me be a father, to let me try to be the man I should have been 5 years ago. And if you can't, if the life you lead doesn't let you, then I'll change the life I lead. She stared at him. You don't mean that. Watch me. Kai's voice interrupted them. Mommy, Dad, come see. Dad. The word hung in the air between them. Jaewon's eyes widened slightly. He looked at Amara, something vulnerable and raw breaking through his usual control. He called me Dad, he whispered. Yeah. Amara smiled through her tears. He did. They walked over together, and Kai showed them an elaborate castle he'd built in the sandbox with some other kids. Jaewon knelt down, examining it seriously. That's incredible, Kai. You built all this? Me and Emma and that boy. Kai pointed proudly. You're a great builder. Kai beamed. As the afternoon sun began to set, casting golden light over the park, Amara felt the impossible happening. She felt hope. Dangerous, terrifying hope. That maybe, just maybe, they could build something new from the ruins of what they'd lost. But in the shadows across the park, a man in a dark coat watched them through a camera lens, took photos, made a call, and reported back to someone who very much wanted to know about Jaewon Kang's sudden change in priorities. Because in their world, weakness wasn't just dangerous, it was fatal. The photos arrived Monday morning. Jaewon sat in his office, the manila envelope placed carefully on his desk by his head of security. No words, just the grim set of his jaw that said everything. Inside, 23 high-resolution images, him and Kai at the playground. Amara watching from the bench, the three of them standing together near the fountain. Kai holding his hand. Every angle, every moment, documented. The message was clear. We're watching. Jaewon's knuckles went white around the envelope. Who delivered this? His voice was ice. Left at the gate. No cameras caught the drop. His security chief, Marcus, stood at attention. But the photographer was professional. High-end equipment. They wanted you to know they could get close. Find them. Already on it. And Marcus? Jaewon looked up. His eyes lethal. I want to know who ordered this. Not speculation. Facts. Marcus nodded and left. Alone, Jaewon spread the photos across his desk. In every single one, Kai was smiling. His son. Happy. Innocent. Vulnerable. The realization hit him like a freight train. By acknowledging Kai, by stepping into his life publicly, he'd painted a target on his back. On Amara's back. On their son's back. This was the cost of his world. And Kai would pay it if Jaewon didn't act. He picked up his phone. Amara. Her voice came through, warm and unsuspecting. Hey, Kai's been talking about you nonstop. He wants to know when he can see you again. Jaewon closed his eyes. We need to talk. In person. The warmth vanished. What happened? Not over the phone. Jaewon, you're scaring me. I'm coming to you. 20 minutes. Lock your doors. He hung up before she could argue. Amara opened the door before he could knock. One look at his face and she knew. What happened? Jaewon stepped inside her apartment. Modest, tasteful, filled with Kai's drawings and toys. The scent of vanilla and cinnamon hung in the air. Home. Everything his penthouse had never been. He handed her the envelope. She pulled out the photos, and her face went pale. Oh my God. They know about Kai. Jaewon's voice was steady, controlled, but his hands shook. They know I care, which means they know how to hurt me. Amara sank onto the couch, photos scattering around her. Who are they? I don't know yet. Could be rivals. Could be someone inside my own organization testing loyalty. Could be. He stopped. It doesn't matter. What matters is that my son is now a liability. Don't call him that. That's what they'll call him. Jaewon knelt in front of her, gripping her hands. Amara, listen to me. You and Kai are in danger. Real danger. Then what do we do? He'd been asking himself that question for 3 days. There were options. None of them good. He could walk away. Disappear from their lives. Let Kai grow up believing his father was a stranger who visited once. Safe. Alone. He could fight. Eliminate every threat. Burn down anyone who dared look at his son wrong. Bloody. Endless. Or he could do something he'd never done before. Choose them over everything. I'm getting out, Jaewon said. Amara blinked. What? Out of the business. The empire. All of it. Jaewon, you can't just... I can. And I will. His grip tightened. I've already started the process. Transferring territories. Liquidating assets. In 6 months, I'll be out completely. Your family will never allow that. My family doesn't have a choice. His voice turned hard. I'm the head. I make the rules. And the rule is, I'm done. Amara stared at him, searching his face for doubt, for hesitation. She found none. Why? She whispered. Because 5 years ago, you asked me if I would walk away, and I didn't answer because I didn't know if I could. He brought her hands to his lips, kissing her knuckles. Now I know. I can. For him. For you. For the life we should have had. Tears spilled down her cheeks. What if it's too late? What if they come after us anyway? Then I'll protect you. His voice was absolute. With everything I have, every resource, every contact, every skill I've learned in this world, I'll use it all to keep you safe. And if you can't, then I'll die trying. The words hung between them, heavy with truth. Amara pulled her hands free, standing abruptly. She paced to the window, looking out at the city lights. I left because I didn't want this life for Kai, she said quietly. I didn't want him growing up in fear, looking over his shoulder, never knowing who to trust. I know. And now you're telling me that's exactly what's happening. Yes. She turned, anger flashing. So what was the point? What was the point of leaving? Of hiding? Of missing you every single day for 5 years if we end up here anyway? Jaewon stood, crossing to her. The point is that you gave Kai 4 years of peace. 4 years of being a normal kid. That's 4 years more than he would have had with me. But now I'm going to give him the rest of his life. He cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. I swear to you, Amara, on everything I am, I will fix this. And when I'm done, Kai will be safe, you'll be safe, and we'll have the life you ran to protect. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him. What do you need from me? She asked finally. Trust me. His thumb brushed her cheek. One more time. Trust me to make this right. Amara closed her eyes and nodded. That night, after Jaewon left, Amara tucked Kai into bed. He yawned, clutching his stuffed tiger. Mommy, is Dad going to live with us? The question pierced her heart. I don't know, baby. I hope so. Kai's eyes were already closing. I like him. He's nice. And he promised to take me to the zoo. Did he? Uh-huh. To see the real dinosaurs. Amara smiled through her tears. Dinosaurs aren't alive anymore, remember? Dad said we'd pretend. Kai yawned again. He said pretending is okay sometimes. She kissed his forehead. Sleep tight, warrior. Night, Mommy. She turned off the light and stood in the doorway, watching him sleep. Jaewon had been in their lives for less than a week, and already, Kai loved him. Which meant if this went wrong, it wouldn't just be her heart that broke. It would be their son's. 3 weeks passed. Jaewon moved like a ghost through his empire, dismantling it piece by piece. He met with lieutenants, transferred territories to trusted allies, paid off debts, secured loyalties, and every night he came to Amara's apartment, sometimes just to see Kai, to read him bedtime stories, to teach him chess with a dinosaur-themed set Jaewon had custom-made. Sometimes he and Amara talked after Kai fell asleep, quiet conversations over tea, about the past, the future, the impossible space between. They didn't touch. Not yet. The wound was still too raw, but they orbited each other like planets finding gravity. Then Marcus called. We found the photographer. Jaewon's blood went cold. And it's worse than we thought. The man's name was Vincent Shaw, freelance, former intelligence, now a contractor for the highest bidder. He sat across from Jaewon in a warehouse on the edge of the city, cable tied to a chair, calm as Sunday morning. "You're making a mistake," Vincent said. "Enlighten me." Jaewon stood in the shadows, arms crossed. The photos weren't a threat. They were a warning. "From who?" Vincent smiled. "Someone who wants you to succeed." Jaewon stepped into the light. "Explain. Now. You think you're the only one who wants out?" Vincent leaned forward as much as his restraints allowed. "There are others. People high up who are tired of the bloodshed, who see you trying to walk away and think, maybe there's another way. You're lying." "Am I?" Vincent's eyes gleamed. "Check your accounts. 30 million was deposited this morning. Anonymous, untraceable. Consider it a severance package." Jaewon's mind raced. "Who sent you?" "Someone who believes your son deserves a father, and that you deserve a life." Vincent shrugged. "They wanted you to know. You're not alone, and they'll make sure you get out clean. But you need to trust the process. Trust a faceless benefactor? Not a chance. Then stay in the game." Vincent's smile faded. "But know this. The people who want you dead? They're real, and they're coming. Your mysterious friend? They're buying you time. Use it wisely." Jaewon studied him. Every instinct screamed trap. But the money was real. The timing, perfect. "Cut him loose," he told Marcus. Vincent stood, rubbing his wrists. "Smart choice. You'll hear from them again when it's time. And if I don't want their help? Then you'll die trying to protect your family, and your son will grow up asking why his father thought pride mattered more than survival." The words landed like a blade. Vincent walked to the door, paused. "For what it's worth, I think you're doing the right thing. Not many men in your position would choose love over power." He left. Jaewon stood alone in the warehouse, the weight of impossible choices crushing him. He told Amara everything that night. She listened, her face unreadable, until he finished. "So we're trusting a stranger," she said flatly. "We're trusting a chance." Jaewon sat beside her on the couch. "And right now, it's the only one we have. What if it's a trap? Then I'll get us out." "How can you be so sure?" "Because I've survived worse." He looked at her. "And I've never had this much to lose." Amara closed her eyes. "I'm terrified, Jaewon." "I know. Every time you leave, I think it's the last time I'll see you." "It won't be. You can't promise that." "No," he admitted. "But I can promise I'll fight like hell to come back." She opened her eyes, and in them, he saw everything she'd never said. Fear, hope, love, still love, after everything. "Kai asked me today if you were staying," she whispered, "and I didn't know what to tell him." Jaewon reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers lingered against her cheek. "Tell him yes," he said quietly. "Tell him I'm staying, no matter what. Jaewon, I love you, Amara." The words broke free like a dam bursting. "I never stopped, and I'm done pretending I did." Her breath hitched. "I know you're scared. I know I hurt you by not being there, by not fighting hard enough 5 years ago." His voice cracked. "But I'm fighting now. For you. For Kai. For us." Amara's hands trembled as she reached up, framing his face. "If we do this," she whispered, "if we really do this, you have to promise me. No more secrets. No more walls. We face everything together. Together," he promised. And then she kissed him. Soft at first. Hesitant. Like testing old ground to see if it would hold. It did. Jaewon pulled her closer. 5 years of longing pouring into the kiss. She tasted like tears and hope and home. When they finally broke apart, both breathless, Amara smiled. "We're insane," she whispered. "Completely," he agreed. "This could destroy us. Or save us." She rested her forehead against his. "Stay tonight. Just stay." He stayed. And for the first time in 5 years, Jaewon Kang slept without nightmares. 6 months later, the house sat on 3 acres in upstate New York, far from the city's chaos. White with blue shutters, a wraparound porch, and a backyard big enough for Kai to run wild. Jaewon stood on that porch now, coffee in hand, watching his son chase fireflies in the twilight. "Dad, look, I caught one." Kai's voice rang out, pure joy. "Let me see, buddy." Kai ran over, carefully cupping his hands. The firefly blinked, golden and alive. "Make a wish and let it go," Jaewon said. Kai squeezed his eyes shut, whispered something secret, then opened his hands. The firefly danced away into the gathering dark. "What did you wish for?" Jaewon asked. "Can't tell. It won't come true." Kai grinned, then bolted back into the yard. Amara emerged from the house, 2 glasses of wine in hand. She'd cut her hair shorter. wore paint-stained jeans from the art studio they'd built in the barn. She looked radiant. "He's going to be exhausted," she said, handing Jaewon a glass. "Good. Maybe he'll actually sleep past 6 this time." She laughed, settling into the chair beside him. They sat in comfortable silence, watching their son play. "Marcus called," Jaewon said eventually. "Everything's finalized. The last transfer went through this morning." Amara tensed slightly. And I'm officially out." He took her hand. "No more ties. No more business. Just this." She exhaled, relief flooding her features. "It's really over? It's really over." For 6 months, Jaewon had navigated the most dangerous exit of his life. The mysterious benefactor had been true to their word, smoothing transitions, neutralizing threats, ensuring his departure didn't spark a war. He still didn't know who they were. Maybe he never would. But he was alive. His family was safe. That was enough. "What are you going to do with yourself?" Amara teased. "You're terrible at relaxing." "I'm learning." He gestured to the yard. "I built that swing set without instructions. It's crooked. It's rustic." She laughed, the sound like music. Kai ran up, breathless. "Mommy, can we have s'mores?" "After dinner, baby. But I'm hungry now." "Then help me set the table," Amara said, standing. "Come on, sous-chef." Kai groaned dramatically but followed her inside. Jaewon remained on the porch, the evening air cool against his skin. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost ignored it, then reconsidered. The message was simple. "You chose well. The empire you built now is worth more than the one you left. Congratulations. You're free." No signature. Jaewon stared at the screen, then deleted the message. Some mysteries didn't need solving. Dinner was chaotic and perfect. Kai spilled juice. Amara burned the garlic bread. Jaewon attempted to make pasta from scratch and created something that resembled paste more than food. They ended up ordering pizza, and it was the best meal Jaewon had ever eaten. After Kai fell asleep, full of s'mores and stories, Jaewon and Amara stood in his doorway, watching him breathe. "I can't believe this is real," Amara whispered. "Believe it." Jaewon wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "What if something happens? What if—" "Then we handle it. Together." He turned her to face him. "No more what-ifs. We're here. We made it. Let that be enough." Amara searched his eyes, then nodded. They moved to their bedroom, the one they'd painted together, laughing over color samples and design magazines. Jaewon had never lived anywhere that felt like home, until now. As they lay in bed, Amara's head on his chest, his fingers tracing lazy patterns on her arm, she asked quietly, "Do you miss it? The power? The control?" He considered the question honestly. "Sometimes," he admitted. "Old habits, old instincts. But then I come home and see Kai's drawings on the fridge, or hear you singing in the studio, and I remember what I traded it for. And—"
What you've heard so far is only the surface. These stories weren't meant to be consumed in fragments. They were created to be experienced from beginning to end. When you unlock full access, you receive 30 complete audio stories, over 30 hours of immersive storytelling, private members-only area not available on YouTube. No ads, no interruptions. Listen on any device, anytime. Lifetime access. And that's not all. You also get access to an exclusive private community where you can talk directly with me and decide your own stories once a week. But be aware, access for new members is closing. Scan the QR code now or click the pinned link in the comments. What was never said continues now. If you choose to enter.
And it's not even close. He kissed the top of her head. "I'd choose this 1,000 times over." Amara smiled against his chest. "Good answer. I'm a quick learner." She laughed softly. They fell asleep tangled together, safe and whole. 1 year later, the jewelry store had expanded. Amara's designs now featured in Vogue. Her collection sold out within hours. She'd become one of the most sought-after designers in the industry, and she'd done it on her own terms. Jaewon had started a consulting firm, helping businesses navigate complex transitions and hostile negotiations. Turns out, skills from running a criminal empire translated surprisingly well to corporate strategy. He worked from home mostly, never missed Kai's school plays or soccer games. Today was special. Kai's 5th birthday. Their backyard was filled with kids, balloons, a bounce house shaped like a dinosaur. Jaewon stood at the grill, flipping burgers, while Amara organized a scavenger hunt. "Dad!" Kai ran up, face painted like a T-Rex. "Tyler said his dad could beat you in a race. Can you beat him?" Jaewon glanced at Tyler's dad, a banker, mid-40s, slightly soft around the middle. "Probably," he said diplomatically. "Will you race him, please?" How could he say no to those eyes? 10 minutes later, Jaewon found himself lined up with 3 other dads while their kids cheered. He won. Easily. Old habits. Amara rolled her eyes as he jogged back, victorious and slightly smug. "Show off," she muttered. "I was asked to represent," he said seriously. "You ran like you were being chased." Muscle memory. She shook her head, but she was smiling. As the party wound down and the last guests left, the 3 of them collapsed on the porch swing. Kai wedged between his parents, chocolate cake still smeared on his cheek. "Best birthday ever," he declared. "Yeah?" Jaewon asked. "Yeah, because you're both here." Amara and Jaewon exchanged a look over his head. All the fear, all the pain, all the impossible choices. It had led them here, to this moment, to this life, to this love. "We'll always be here, buddy," Jaewon promised. "Always." Kai yawned, leaning into his father's side. "Love you, Dad. Love you too, warrior." The sun set behind them, painting the sky in shades of gold and amber, and Jaewon Kang, former king of shadows, now ruler of nothing but his own heart, had never felt more powerful. Because this was the empire that mattered. This was everything. But in the shadows, miles away, in a high-rise overlooking the city, a woman reviewed security footage on multiple screens. Jaewon at the birthday party, Amara in her studio, Kai blowing out candles. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "So he thinks he's out," she murmured. A man's voice responded from the shadows. "Should we remind him?" The woman considered, then shook her head. "Not yet. Let him enjoy his peace. He's earned it. And when the time comes?" Her smile sharpened. "When the time comes, he'll remember. You can leave the empire, but the empire never leaves you." She closed the laptop. "Besides, his son will be old enough soon, and the sins of the father always find the son." The screen went dark, but the threat lingered. Because some stories never truly end. They just wait. Jaewon believed he had left the past behind, but somewhere, in the shadows of the city he once ruled, someone is watching, waiting. Because you can leave the empire, but the empire never leaves you. And when the threat finally comes, it won't be Jaewon who pays the price. It will be Kai. Want episode 2 today? Leave your comment. If we reach 10 comments asking for it, I'll drop the continuation right now. What happens when the mafia boss's son becomes the target? Comment, episode 2 now.